China and the US, different languages. We've just rented the car. I'm gonna go pick up the boys and then we'll start our journey. Let's go. Different traffic regulations and different landscapes outside the window. Are you excited to go to Yinchuan?
I'm very excited to go to Yinchuan.
The Qinghai Lake, you can see it over there.
Towers, one of the most beautiful monasteries in China.
Lanzhou牛肉面.
My name is Charlie. These are my friends from America and around the world. And here is our story of discovering China, driving across the northwestern regions of China. So this trip that we're doing across China right now is during our spring break at New York University, Shanghai. And we flew from Shanghai, went to Yinchuan in Ningxia, and then we drove to Xining in Qinghai province. And then we drove to Qinghai Lake, and then drove back to Xining. And then we made our way to Lanzhou, where we are right now. This is sort of my best group of friends in China. We've been together since the start of university here. And we're now in year 4, and we've been to the north, south, central, and even Xinjiang as well. So it was just kind of time to make our way to northwestern China. I have a lot of experience growing up in like the middle of the United States in South Dakota. And I live right on one of the most popular interstates, Interstate 90. And having driven around China this time, I've noticed there's some massive differences. And one of them is ETC. Like you can just have the card in your car. You can drive right through the toll gates. I know that we have that in the US, but we don't have it in South Dakota. For the rental cars are super cheap. For this trip, it was incredibly cheap. I think it was like maybe 1,500 RMB for 8 days. The systems of car rentals in China I thought would be a big pain for me as a foreigner with all these driver's licenses and document issues. But I think renting a car is incredibly easy here. I've driven all across Europe, all across the US in rental cars growing up. And driving in China, all you have to do is like book the car on your phone. You can do it 2 minutes before you get the car. You press like open the car and it uses Bluetooth to open the car door. You don't even have to talk to anyone. And then when you return the car, it's the same deal. You don't have to talk to anyone. You just give it a full tank of gas. And they'll even fill it up for you if you don't want to. So yeah, as an American, there's like a lot of surprises you have when you're using the navigation in China. It'll show you what lane you should drive in. So if there's 5 lanes, it'll tell you like center, left, right, so you make it onto the right ramp. All the road signs are in English as well, or at least in like Chinese pinyin. It's almost like driving in the US here. So yeah, well, I guess one of the things we were looking forward to on this trip was coming to a region we've never been before, talking with young people, meeting young people in these cities. Every night we would make sure to go where like the hottest spots were in Yinchuan or Xining. We would go on Xiaohongshu, on RedNote, and we would see like, oh, where's a fun place for a young person to hang out at? And then we'd go there, meet young people, and they'd be speaking different sort of dialects of Mandarin or other languages, and it's really interesting. For ordering food, probably one of my favorite parts of the trip was stopping at all of the fuxu, the service stations. We would order food from like a local restaurant, and the locals were so curious why, 8 foreigners, mostly American, are coming out of these cars that they drove themselves and ordering food and cracking jokes and playing music, and they took photos with us and we had conversations, and it was really special. We've been in China for quite some time now and we speak pretty good Mandarin, but we got to learn and hear some Tibetan, some Uyghur, and we heard a lot of like Lanzhou Hua, Xining Hua, all these like dialects that were very interesting. We picked up 2 hitchhikers, two women that were going from a small town to another small town on the way to Qinghai Lake. And we took these hitchhikers to their restaurant where they were going to start working, and they spoke Tibetan, and it was really beautiful to hear the language for the first time and learn some words from them. I think one of the most heartfelt moments of the trip was a few years ago, one of my best friends, he cycled from Xi'an to Urumqi all the way across China as a college student. He's one of my most impressive friends, and he met a man who owned a little piece of property right next to Qinghai Lake and has lambs and horses there. And after 2 years of my friend not seeing this guy, we send him a WeChat and we say, hey, can we stay on your farmland with tents? And this is late March, early April, so it's really cold in Qinghai Lake. And we go to camp on this guy's lake, and he was just extremely kind, very helpful. He was very concerned that we would freeze and helped us get food and everything. I think in northwestern China, on average, young people are more extroverted and like to make jokes more and like to kind of play around on the street a bit more, like us Americans. I think there were some fun moments when we were in Xining, the capital of Qinghai province. We were at some sort of night food market, night areas that young people were at, and we talked to a group of young guys, and they were asking us all these questions about the US, and we were asking them questions about China. And we were always like, oh, you guys are the most handsome. And he's like, no, you Americans are the most handsome. We always asked them what jobs they worked and what they were doing, because we're traveling, so we were meeting these guys on a Wednesday night. Who goes out on a Wednesday night? But I think they were just like very free-floating, kind of free-living people like us as well. So it's cool to meet a kindred spirit in China, despite them being from a different country. So throughout this road trip of ours, me and my 8 best friends traveling across China as university students, we have to tell these stories of being in China during this time and give really honest representations of what we're seeing day to day. And we're always posting on our Instagrams and on our Xiaohongshu's and on all these media platforms what experiences we're having in China. And I have a lot of people from my hometown in the US, Sioux Falls, South Dakota. They're always asking me, is it really hard to live in China? Is the driving super different? Can you eat the food? Are the people nice? And my answer to all these questions are, if a kid from South Dakota can come here and become totally integrated in Chinese society, be able to use all the apps, learn the language, eat the food, make friends, truly anyone can do it. A person from New York, a person from California, London, Delhi, anywhere could come here and have a very successful life and be really happy. And I think the Chinese people have been entirely accepting of us so far, and it's a really happy feeling. I think Chinese and US youth in some ways can be different, but at the end of the day, when you come from the US to China, or a Chinese person goes to the US, you find that, most young people everywhere like pizza. And a guy from the Midwest in the US can learn to love Lanzhou La Mian. And, there's the universal truths like loving food, loving art, loving music, and especially this Generation Z in the US and China. We have so many similarities because of the internet, because of media, and we're kind of building a new history together, I feel. So for young people, Americans or anyone else, I think you should 100% do a road trip through China. Driving through China is a really special experience because most people travel through trains or flights, and then you call taxis everywhere or you get on buses. But if you have a car in China, you can park on the side of the road, stop your car, and see things that people from your country have never seen before. I've been to places now in northwestern China where I know for a fact that no other American has stepped foot, because there's no way you can get there unless you have a car. So if I was traveling across this same route through China with my children in 10 or maybe 20 years, I think I wouldn't want them to be surprised. I think I would want the world to be a more connected and a more open place, that when they came to Xining or Lanzhou, they would know exactly what they're seeing. They would know what food we'll eat there, what the young people will be like. They'll be able to communicate with them. I hope for a more open and connected world for my children. Here in China, you don't need to be fluent in Mandarin to drive, because the technology and goodwill of the Chinese people provide dual navigation. Every kilometer we've driven together writes a footnote for the future, because it's not only about us, it's about what happens when we shift gears together.